Good.
Just pops up as a flyer. So I'm messing with my people a little bit to see this solution.
Well, I know the ones that radios in my trucks. The whole
Yeah, got my booster shot.
Oh, did you? Good deal.
They have CBS.
Okay.
Yeah, we got nobody.
I'm 4 years from getting it. But I'd take it. I would.
I didn't get so this time. That time it did a little bit. This time it just good.
All right, folks, it's just a little after 9. I'm gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. Join me in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sam, would you care to lead us in prayer, please?
Sure. Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning. You honor the Lord and praise. We thank you for the next one today. Thank you for your love and mercy and grace we do. Lord, watch over the commissioners, the guided Lord, still wisdom and knowledge. And to all of us, Lord, so we may come together as one unit, work together in one county. Lord, please forgive us of sin and shortcomings. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Sam.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Try to work through this frog in my throat here. First up this morning is approval of the minutes.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Dale for approval of the minutes. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Bob. All in favor? Aye. Let's see if I can find them here, gentlemen. Here. Next up is approval of claims. We had mentioned last meeting that they were as low as they've been. But since I've been here, we've bumped up a little bit this claim cycle, $493,000, but $272,000 of it is highway, and then another $94,000 is community crossings. So that's a large part of the claims this particular cycle. Jim, do you have anything you want to touch on?
If I might, I will be brief. Commissioner, you're correct. There was $493,000 in claims. However, when you take the highway and you take the community bridge, community crossing grant, that amount is $366,828.37. That is for 74% of the claims for this docket. The two that would be the most important, again, nothing is being paid directly out of Fund 1000, which is correct. The amount out of Riverboat for this claim cycle is $23,392.96, based on a cash balance of $407. The lead edit claims were $34,009.17, with a cash balance of $799,361. So the other area, commissioners, in August, the negative deficit in the general fund was approximately $474,000. That is declining, which is what was trying to do. It's down to $355,765 as of September 30th. That's about $100,000 a month decline, which is good. There's still 13 funds in the red at $1.3 billion compared to a month ago it was $1.5 billion. So things are moving in the right direction. Definitely need to continue. Kind of the broken record would be, it looks good, but it is not good enough. I need to very much concentrate on the claims remain at the lower level for the final cycle in October, and also looking for other methods with the lead edit and the riverboat to lower that general fund. We want the general fund by November 30th to be as close to zero as possible. Commissioners, I do have some information on the highway funds. I don't know if you want to talk about those now or just wait to Greg on either one.
Why don't we just wait till we get to Greg?
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to bring him up first here in a minute anyway.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Jim. So do I hear a motion to approve claims? I also want to mention we have looks like about $56,000 ballpark, maybe a little more of out-of-cycle claims, utility bills, so on and so forth. So the motion will be to cover both out-of-cycle and normal claims. So do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve those claims.
I have a motion by Bob.
I'll second.
Have a second by Dale. All in favor? Aye. All right, Greg, we're gonna bump you up front so you can get out and get back to work.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Want to update you on the Millings Road projects. Both Fall Creeks have been paved, Childress and a portion of Dillman requested. We have product on the ground to do Best Stadia. It's a little different product because of the length of distance. We're going to do that when the weather breaks. Scale wise, off of the pug mill, looks like we're going to have about 3,200 ton of millings left, but due to budget constraints, I'm not going to order any more product to put down to lay anymore. I have milestone schedule. We are still on track for community crossing. They will be here next Monday and they intend to lay Steubenville, Walden and Colross in 4 days, which tells me that they're going to run 2 crews. Looks like they're going to run a crew on Steubenville and a crew on the other 2.
So they look to plan on having everything done by the end of next week.
Yes. And as long as weather holds, it appears that is going to happen.
Excellent.
We're doing some finishing touches on Colross today, and we'll be doing the rest of the work on Walden tomorrow. Commissioners, you know that I'm short-staffed, and that's part of the reason I need to leave out of here this morning. I'm going to be quite frank. I'm working my guys in the ground. We were out 7 times this weekend, and I'm beginning to worry about safety in regard to keeping these guys up so many hours and working. I mean, if they're going out, they'll do whatever I ask them to do. But being short-staffed like that, you need to be aware that the day, if it slacks off, I'm going to start sending people home so they can get some rest.
Yep.
Now, when that happens, everybody needs to know that I'm not filling potholes, I'm not mowing road. I'm minimal work, but I'm having to do that. I just want to make you all aware that.
You're at 18, correct?
Yes. But I actually have 2 on vacation this week, which they had coming, was approved
Sure.
many months ago. The next thing, gentlemen, I got a call from our vendor, and we should have a letter anytime. But steel culvert pipe has went up 204%. I decided not to take the load that we had coming, put in driveway pipes, because that falls back to the citizens. So everybody knows we put in driveway pipes that cost a culvert that would normally cost the citizen about $309 now. Looks like the figures between stone and all the building costs will be over $1,000. I don't think anybody is going to be able to afford that, and we don't need that sitting in our inventory. Now, probably not the most popular thing. I've talked to Commissioner Burton and Jim. I'm going to ask that the commissioners repeal the ordinance in regard to the highway department putting in driveway pipes at cost, at least for the temporary time. There is an ordinance that says we do that. But because of the high cost, and I had 3 employees that signed that put in driveway pipes. I need them in other places. I'd like to complete the 5 that I had paid for and repeal that ordinance at least sometime in 2022 so we can review.
Go ahead, Jim.
So, Commissioner, I guess leave it up to discretion. You obviously could at this time, just temporarily, from this week till the next commissioners meeting to repeal or in order the superintendent not to install any of those pipes. The question I would have, I can do the repeal at the October 18th meeting, just to kind of get the best idea of time. You want that to go to December 31st, you want to carry that out to the spring. That's the only information that would be helpful.
I think that would probably be best to carry that out till spring. That's my opinion. What do you gentlemen think?
Spring sounds good to me.
Do we know what that ordinance number is by chance?
I don't, but all you would have to do today is just order the superintendent to cease and desist installing any private contracts or contract business until the 18th, and then we'll go ahead and do the actual official.
Could we do it until the first next month? Give you more time to do it?
Either one, whatever works out, but I'll definitely, my plan is to have that done for the 18th.
I don't
I think
rush
it's
it.
priority to get done. Does May 1st sound correct as far as?
I think that that's probably a good number. We can also look at the cost at that time as well.
May 1st, okay.
So I'm gonna ask for a motion for the highway superintendent to cease and desist with the driveway pipes for citizens at cost until the attorney has time to rewrite the ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion by Dale. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a second by Bob. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner. Now, the other bad news I need to let you know is plastic resin is up 300%. So our budget constraints are extremely high right now. And speaking to bridge builders just for next year, domestic steel, which is a requirement that they use in our government bids, seems to be extremely hard to get. So we may be dealing with that for a long time.
Quick question, Greg. You were working on some beams for that server bridge.
Yeah.
2 of them to be replaced.
Yeah.
Did you get those ordered and we've got that taken care of?
Those are actually sitting on the lot ready to install, but because we're short-staffed, I need to get these community crossings after next week or after this week, and Milestone takes over. Any small prep is done, so.
Just want to make sure we got them in before the cost. Okay.
We've actually had those on the lot now probably 4 weeks.
Okay, good. Anything else?
Gentlemen, I do know, and I don't know whether they probably have public comment, but there's several people here in regard to Bridge 16 at Rocky Hill. I don't know whether you want to discuss this now before I leave or wait for public comment.
Well, we got a couple. There is no public comment on Monday morning meetings. It's evening meetings only. I'm going to have the attorney go ahead and speak about the fund lines and the budget.
Okay, Commissioner, I want to, the goal here is to present this as accurate as possible and get action to the county. Superintendent, if any of these figures do not match or you think that they're off, just speak right up. But this is my understanding of looking at the highway funds. Highway funds are primarily, besides a road sign, which has a couple $100, it's $1169, $1173, and $1176. So anyone looking at the funds, if you went in on 9/28, it would show 266,000, 253.15 and 69, 197, 660, 2 cents and 73, and 1176 had $185,910 and 3 cents. The accumulation of 69, 73, and 76 on that date would be 458,303. Now, first glance, I would be the same. I would look at that. The superintendent has about $500,000. We're okay. So superintendent, if I'm incorrect here, just interrupt me right in the middle. But the expenses that I showed that are accurate and that are due and need to be paid out of that 458, the community crossings grant, the closest and best estimate is that the county needs to, its grant match is 280,000. Those roads are expected to be done this month, ideally, no later than November. The workman's comp bill came in to Owen County back in April, I believe it was April 1st. This is a due that's outstanding and needs to be paid. The highway department's share is $40,000. At a minimum, 2 of the liability insurance bills have come in. The third quarter coming, there was a reduction. Originally it was $84,500. There was a reduction by the council based on the insurance, that should be $56,000. That is due to Owen. Payroll for October 1st was roughly $42,000. Now that is a rough estimate. It could be a little lower, but I think that's further on the accurate ballpark. Commissioners, that puts you at a total of $418,000 of actual expenses that, in my opinion, are due and owing, compared to a balance at $458. In my opinion, that was not reflected loud. You're asking my opinion. He has $40,300 in his budget. Before we get to the Q Bridge, does that sound accurate from your understanding?
It does sound accurate from my understanding. These are outstanding bills, and I have money flow coming in November and December, but I have to operate the county garage. I've told Jim this, we've discussed these numbers, we went over them, but I feel as if going broke all the time. $40,000 is nothing in the garage to fix anything if I need to. Now, I'm very thankful for 22 and the work that a lot of people have done. Commissioner Burton, Councilman, I think Keith and Wood helped work on it in regard to 22, but we're pretty dire right now, just to get through the end of this year. Not pretty dire, we are dire.
So the follow-up, if I may, on that, then there's expected revenues in October, November, and December from it's 76, but it's split. But you're roughly, if you look at the average, about 125 and 73, 125 and 176, I think could give you a rough ballpark. Those will be coming in October, November, and December. So you have 3 months of revenue. Point out though, roughly that's around October 10, 12, 13, more in that range. The highway department is a cash-based funding. It is not just an appropriation. So Greg has to balance out what is actual balance of 40,000, it says October 4th, if it's gonna be another week to 10 days before that check goes in. But I'm just trying to stress that's the amount of money, till it comes in. There will be, there's 2 sources for 69. If my understanding is correct, the wheel tax distribution did not occur in September. That will probably come in October. That's gonna be roughly about 59,000, and that goes into local road and street. There's another range of about $35,000 that comes in. There's 2 sources of income there. So you would expect that, but for September, there was no wheel tax distribution. It will come in October. Saying that, just looking at projects or this crew and everything, what in my opinion would be, Greg has a balance of about $40,000 of real money. Today, he definitely has 250, 250, 250, so there's 750,000 coming in towards the end of the year, and then you would have something in the range, if you said 50 to 30, 80,000 times 3 for local road and street. But we're looking to zero. By statute and by law and by state board of accounts and any other thing we want to throw in there, he must have a cash balance of a positive balance in all 3 of those funds on December 31st. It would not be permissible for it to be deficit. Now, commissioners, that would be for your decision. I mean, whether that's $1, whether that's 100,000, but they cannot be using the term in the red in any one of those 3 funds. On there, for the auditors, it's went out many times, very correct. Money that gets transferred into one fund at 73 can't go back out, so you have that balancing act of the 50-50 split. So any extra money at 76 that goes from 73, once in, it stays in. So, these are just the financial reality. So I think I think there's times when one goes in there and looks, there's $500,000, what's the problem? This is what the problem is. For Q Bridge showed a balance of $179,691.45 on 9/28. There's claims of $80,868.79. That is, I believe, the portion that's owed for the match of the grant for the Kelly Bridge. That knocks that balance out to $98,822.66. There would be no new source of income until the settlement in December. Would be the next source, but there would be no known source of income going in October, November. Now, he does get some reimbursement, so I'm not saying that there possibly a reimbursement for an engineering, but those are unknown, so that's too speculative for me. It's also my understanding, I could be correct on this, that there's some more outstanding bills that would lower that, or the more realistic approach is Q Bridge maybe closer to $35,000, might be a more accurate figure. I need to also make it clear, you've asked me for my opinion, it is my opinion that no bridge should be repaired or designed without an engineer certification. I have reviewed that, I understand that you're more welcome to commission anytime, second, third opinion, but it is my understanding that under no circumstances should any bridge be made without an engineer certification. You would never hear me approving that. The reason I say that means plans and specifications for any bridge must be done. I can understand there might have been a different time, decades and decades ago. Hey, let's go put something down. That is not my understanding of the law in any fashion, that must be done, and that will always be my advice to you and to the superintendent. Why is that important, besides just hearing me talk, is that those are costs, those plans and those certifications. Reason again, and I'll wind this up, $35,000 to $40,000 is probably not a realistic expense to think, a realistic amount of cash to think that any type of extra bridge or bridge project could be done out of those funds.
Thank you, Jim.
Well, to come out of 35, and to give you an example that would be coming in, is the engineering for that bridge. And that's to Nutter Lane engineering, but that bill is $11,000 to engineer that bridge.
And at our last meeting, you presented us with a couple of different quotes for a bridge deck that was not certified by an engineer because the head walls were bad, so we could not put a deck in. It had to be a full bridge replacement, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, what they said was they would not, the engineering firm said that the head walls, they would approve putting on the deck. Then when the bridge contractors gave us the quotes in regard to the bridge, they wouldn't have their engineer stamp it, and then our engineer would put a stamp on it now because there's questions in regard to that. For $35,000 more than that bridge can be a total rebuild.
Correct.
That was then, with the steel up as high as it is now, guys, it could be double that cost.
Sure. Any other comments on that?
So that's the most accurate way I can present their finances, there's money coming in. I want to be crystal clear. They are not broke, they have never missed a payroll, and they have never missed a payment to a vendor. If anyone thinks otherwise, they are incorrect. However, realistically, we're talking about in public meetings, there's a big difference between looking in somewhere and saying, I see $500,000. I think there's a duty here to say, yes, you do. However, these are actual bills, these are coming in, there is not $500,000 there. Same thing with Q Bridge, someone can very, very legitimately say, there's 179. That's correct. Now we get to take these deductions, here's the actual cost, and here are the absolute minimum standards for a bridge. So they're positive in every form. They've paid every single vendor and met every single payroll. This is, I think, a realistic approach of where they stand now and what realistically is going to come in the next 2 months.
And through our conversation with the revenues coming in and the projections of expenses, we're ballparking the highway with about $100,000 left at the end of the year total.
I think that's what, right now, looking at fuel, payroll, all of those, with the money coming in, you have about a $100,000 cushion, what I mean from zero to having $100,000 balance. And the projection in here right now would be that the highway would have a cumulative balance in those three funds of approximately $100,000.
Okay. You guys have any questions?
Yeah, I'm talking about Mud Road.
Yeah, go ahead.
Gerald Freeman owns Mud Road. He owns him and some other guy about the middle of it. They own it, but they put a gate on each end where their property starts. Is that possible, or are we getting paid for Mud Road from the state or anything?
Here's the situation that I know about Mud Road as the superintendent. Mud Road is exactly that. At some point in time, the county quit maintaining that. If you look at the shape of that road, that was long before probably most of the people sitting in this room was here. They quit maintaining it. What has happened, people have bought some property and then county highways went out and extended the road. Now the road's extended into where there is a section that it may be owned on both sides by one property owner. I personally, a long time ago, and I believe I spoke with, it may have been the prior county attorney, that road needed to be closed and vacated. But it's my understanding, I can't request that, that has to be done by the property owners. Now, I will tell you that I have been called within the last 2 weeks about somebody logging that property, and they are logging in there, and they want us to go in and put gravel on the road. And I will tell you, so you all know, I said that I will put gravel on that until they're done. Because really, it doesn't even appear to be a road. So that would be, Jim can tell you the process on closing and vacating the road.
If you want to pursue it that way, I mean, we could have that, not only by the 18th, we could do that in November.
We need to look into that because if I'm not mistaken, when Mr. Williamson was still with us, him and I went out there and there were some property owners that wanted that road opened back up because they planned on developing out there.
That is,
Him and I went out there and you and I discussed it. So we need to look into that further before we make any kind of decision as far as those citizens out there and what the plans are for that area.
Look, gentlemen, we need to be aware, I have many roads in this county that are closed, but they're not vacated.
Correct.
I ran into this just last week. The people were very correct, but they purchased property and, it wasn't a huge extension, but I have to make an extension on a road probably 300 feet. Some of these roads go through for a mile or two. So this needs to be something that we really sit down and look at as properties sell and what we want to do.
Yeah, that's why I think we need to look into this further before we make any drastic moves on vacating that road or whether we need to maintain that road. So I think we'll just hold off on that for the time being until we check with those homeowners out there.
Now, is that something you would like me to do, or who needs to check with the property owners?
Well, first of all, we probably need to find out who those property owners are, make contact with them. I can, you can. Adele, that's in your district out there, I believe, if you want to do that as well, but we need to find out what the intent is, because I was told a year and a half, 2 years ago that there was going to be some homes built out there possibly. So obviously we can't vacate that road if that's the fact, so.
I'll get ahold of Freeman and have him show me where his property is, starts, and get some pictures, whatever.
Assessor's office can probably help you as well as Sheila can probably help who owns those properties out through there.
I need a flat map of that there.
Suzanne can help you down the building.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
before you leave, we've got 4 ordinances that we need to go over. We're gonna read one, and I'll let Jim take over from here.
So what, if we start with Adele Road, what's our numbers?
23 is Adele, 24 Steubenville, 25 Call Ross, 26 Walden.
Okay. For everyone, this is a speed ordinance, and it is required that it be read out loud. The good news is, instead of reading 4 separately, it's gonna substitute the names because everything else is identical. Commissioners, these are 4 ordinances for maximum speed limits. They are 2021-23 for Adele, 2021-24 for Steubenville, 2021-25 for Culrose, and 2021-26 for Walden. An ordinance establishing the maximum speed limit on the following roads: Adele, Steubenville, Culrose, and Walden. Whereas the Owen County Board of Commissioners desires to maintain its streets and jurisdiction under control and safe and secure from dangerous traffic patterns. Whereas the Board of Commissioners, Owen County find this proposed ordinance will promote the health, safety, comfort, and general welfare of citizens of Owen County. Whereas Indiana Code 92156 allows the county to decrease the speed limit on the street outside of an urban district not less than 30 miles per hour, and to perform an engineering and traffic investigation. Whereas Owen County Highway Department has received complaints concerning excessive speed on Adele Road, Steubenville Road, Culvers Road, and Walden Road, and has conducted the required engineering and traffic study on all 4 of these roads. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Commissioners of Owen County the following. The maximum speed limit for Adele Road, Steubenville Road, Culvers Road, and Walden Road will be 30 miles an hour. Adele, Steubenville, Culvers, and Walden are located outside of the urban district of Owen County. The altered speed limit that is established by this ordinance is effective at all times. After giving notice of the altered speed limit on the erected street is required by Indiana Code 921.5-6C. Section 3, any person violating the provisions of this ordinance shall be subject to a fine of $75, as further set forth in ordinance 2018-31, which is incorporated by reference. The operator shall be liable for any and all costs incurred by Owen County for prosecution, collect a fine, including but not limited to court costs and attorney fees. Section 4, this ordinance supersedes all ordinances or parts of ordinance which have conflict with provisions of such ordinance are hereby repealed. All prior ordinances and resolutions in conflict or inconsistent herewith are hereby expressly repealed. Section 5, severability. The various provisions of this ordinance shall be considered severable if any part or portion of this ordinance is held invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction. Such holding decision shall not affect the validity of the remaining provisions of this ordinance and shall remain in full force and effect. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect immediately upon its adoption and publication by law, passed and adopted by the Board of Commissioners of Owen County, State of Indiana, held at a regular meeting on today's date of the month, 2021. For all 4 ordinance, Gary Brooke is President, Robert Curry Vice President, Adele Du Bois Commissioner, Sheila Lee is Auditor, and these would have to be published twice. Since there's a fine, they require 2 publications.
All right, gentlemen, do I hear a motion to approve ordinance number 2021-023, maximum speed limit for Adele Road?
Can I make one suggestion that 30 miles an hour be bumped up to 40? And then I will approve it. I think 30 is too slow.
I don't think we have a county road and other than County Line Road that's over 35, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
That's correct. I'll use the sheriff on speed limit county roads. I have my opinion, but Sam and his people are in charge of that for public safety, so.
Most people pay attention to the signs anyway. I suggest when those signs up, say county thousands of dollars. But they need to say that 35, 40, we don't have any county roads involved. That's 40 mile an hour anyway.
That's what most people drive, 50.
Yeah, 60. Yeah, 70, yeah. So, 30 mile an hour, is just pretty slow. I would just I'd leave them all 35 miles an hour. I'd leave all county roads 35 miles an hour. But that's, it's entirely up to the commissioners.
Greg, you have requested these to be at 30 miles an hour as you have in the past, correct?
And I understand where Greg's coming from too. A couple of the roads are, in real bad shape.
Well, in the past, any of these community crossing roads, once they get repaved, turns into racetracks, obviously. So we try to put them at a speed limit that is decent. And again, as everybody said, it doesn't matter what we post them at, people's gonna drive whatever they wanna drive.
I believe for the liability and tort claims that I see come through, I believe it's my responsibility to bring before you what is a legitimate rule speed that is followed by some of the other counties statewide. Therefore, for your liability's sake in the counties, that's the reason I bring them before you at 30 miles an hour. We did have one request on County Line Road, and the sheriff made that, and that ordinance was, that speed limit was raised on the portion of the county line road.
Well, what's wrong? I've been around over the whole country. They don't have speed limit, they have reasonable and safe. That's the speed limit. If the law thinks you're going too fast or unsafe, they ticket you for it. You know, there's no speed limit, but just what's safe and reasonable.
Well, what goes on out in Arizona and South Dakota is different than what goes on in Indiana, unfortunately.
I'll support Greg on the 30 mile an hour. It is slow, but a couple of roads are in bad shape, extremely bad shape.
Gentlemen, again, I'm gonna ask for a motion to approve ordinance 2021-023. Do I hear a motion?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make that motion.
And I'll second that. I have a motion by Dale and a second by myself. All in favor? Aye. Nay, Bob?
Nay.
So these cannot pass today, so I'll need to bring them back on the 18th for reread.
So we are going to 23, 24, and 25. I will give back to the auditor. And we will bring those up at the next meeting.
Speaking in regard to ordinance, there was one, the Heritage Group, which is an Amish organization, has purchased the Beach Church. And it is going to be an active school. They may actually be teaching in it at this point in time. They've made major improvements, playgrounds, ball fields, et cetera, but we need to zone that area as a school for the speed there. I'll get Jim that information, but I'd like to bring that and get that information to Jim and bring it before you at the next meeting.
Okay, sounds
That's
good.
the corner of Beach Church and Denmark Road.
Okay. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Have a good day. All right, moving forward, onboard's benefit agreement. Ron?
Thanks for just a couple of minutes. We'll be very short. We know you have a very busy schedule.
Before I let you get started, I'm gonna make sure the attorney, you've looked at this agreement and you're fine with everything in it.
There's nothing, just the one thing I would point out, that there were no fees, so this did not cost the county any monetary amount of any kind. But the other aspects of the contract are all routine.
Okay, thank you.
And maybe if you want just to, Corey, do a real quick summary of it, or we can just.
We've got some department heads in here that would be interested in it, so.
Good, I may move this right if you guys have any questions. So the software is something we actually used last year during open enrollment, so as department heads, you may have ran into this before, actually used it as well. So again, we're kind of bringing this back up again this year, offering it to the county at no expense, with the help of Bill C. Brown. But the idea is to turn the software back on. And again, this is the human resources benefits enrollment software, onboard benefits. So last year we had over 90%, I believe, Owen County employees actually enroll within the software. Those that did not utilize it, we worked with Sherry and the auditor's office to make sure that those enrollments went through. But again, the idea is to bring this up again this year. People have a paperless technology. For the county, the advantageous piece of it is you're a paperless technology compliance. You have one source for your records and so on. So The idea, again, assuming an agreement here that we'll turn this back on actually today. And then as open enrollment comes around and your consultant works on your renewals, we'll have this tool ready to go for another year of this open enrollment. So, I know that was the quick and easy. I don't know if I can ask for questions from but.
Let's keep it to quick and easy, how's that?
That sounds good.
It's a Monday morning meeting, we got employees that we need to get back to
I'm
work.
to talk too much anyway, so.
What I will say is, Ron Remack, which is our healthcare provider, has agreed to pay for this service for the county for 1 year. So we are going to take him up on that offer. We greatly appreciate everything that they do for us. So I guess at this point, even though it's free, I'm going to ask the fellow commissioners, you have any discussion on this? Because if not, we'll make a motion to approve, even though it is a zero contract.
No problem with it at all.
All right.
For free.
It is for free,
Well,
for 1 year.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Dale has a motion, makes the motion to approve.
Second.
Bob second, all in favor? Aye, 3-0. Thank you, gentlemen.
I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. There's 2 signatures for it, and if you want to sign 2, they can have this for the.
Yep, you want my copy, I'll go ahead and sign.
Yep. Just a single signature?
Correct.
Okay. And I ask for a motion for approve for the president to sign the
I'll
contract.
make that motion.
Have a motion by Bob, second by Dale. All right. Make it official. Thank you, sir.
Even the contracts are easier to write when I put 0 fee in there, so.
That helps, doesn't it?
Do you want to take and send a copy back, or I can send the fully executed back? I'll send it back.
There you go.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you. Kathleen, 911.
Gentlemen.
Good morning.
So today what I'm bringing is, just continuation of the conversation that we had at the last meeting I was here. HICOM came out, did some work. We currently have all of our AT&T phone lines within the 911 center transferred to HICOM, and then they are providing our phone service to us. So this is an estimate that they have given us. They don't actually do a signed contract. It's a month by month, you pay the bill, they continue the service. So you will see that for them to come out and do the work, add us 4 additional lines onto the current service that we have now, which is something that we will need. The state recommends having a minimum of 4 lines, 2 lines per console that you have. Since we have 4 consoles, 8 lines. That work is gonna be right around the $508. However, our monthly reoccurring cost for our phone system is gonna be just under the $160 every month. When you take into consideration what the bill currently is now, which I believe, I do not know if Chris's AT&T bill is separate or if it's the same, lumped in, but I know like mine and the sheriff's department, since we were on the same phone system, was right around $1,200 a month. We were gonna do, I have talked to Commander Snodgrass, I've not specifically talked to Sheriff about this, but they want to get dispatch up and going with HICOM being our phone provider, see how we do for a few months, and then possibly then bring on the Sheriff's Department, because the bill is so much cheaper than what AT&T provides us.
And that's what we're looking for.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, we appreciate your work on that. The one-time cost of $508, is that something that you have in your budget?
Yes.
Okay,
Because I will also have an additional claim because I need to talk with Derek. It's something that few months ago, actually, I don't even know if it was a few months, it's been a while ago. I brought a quote to you guys to initially start all of this project, and it was determined that I was gonna be paying for it out of my cash funds. We're moving that into making an appropriation with council and stuff, so yeah, all of this work is gonna be covered by dispatch, I'm not gonna be asking for any additional money.
Okay, sounds good. It's well below the 5,000 limit. So gentlemen, it does require a signature, it looks like for Kathleen to sign it. So I have no problem going ahead with this. I make the motion that we approve the HICOM, one-time cost of $508 and that we let Kathleen sign the agreement.
I second.
I have a second, motion by myself, second by Bob, all in favor? Aye. You have the original copy, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. All right.
just make sure that we get a copy back to Sheila, so we got it on file.
Yep, once I get a HICOM signature and we have both signatures on it, I'll make sure they have a copy for their file as well.
And hopefully this works out and we can continue to lower costs at the sheriff department as well.
Yep.
Excellent.
Okay, I believe that is all. Unless you guys have anything for me.
I just got a question, how you doing with your staff? How's your employees holding up?
Staff, we are short two. I put out applications requesting people, Facebook, Indeed, all of that kind of stuff, people to contact me to receive a copy of an application. I've sent out, I would say 40 to 50 applications and I've received 5 back. I'm gonna tell you, it's pay. That's what it is. And this is conversations I've had with council, they're aware of it as well. I do still have my good solid 8 employees, so we are still staffing the center. However, we are filling a lot of overtime whenever anybody needs a day off because they need days off. They're tired, they're exhausted. So we're in the situation that we're in. Everybody's still pulling through. Morale is not the greatest, but I'm trying to do everything that I can to keep it as positive as possible, so.
I thank you for that, and I'm very aware of what we're dealing with. I've brought it up in a few meetings about not only do we have a financial situation in the county, we're gonna soon be, and if not already, dealing with an economic situation when it comes to employment. It is very difficult because there were no raises in 2021, there'll be none for 2022. And it's gonna continue to hurt us in the employment sector to fill these positions. So I feel for you, and unfortunately, that doesn't fall in this seat, but
Right, yeah, it's just hard. Cost of living is going up, inflation, we're just now starting to see the start of all of that. We're not even to the peak of any of that yet, and we're still expecting county employees to continue. They were already living paycheck to paycheck, working 2 and 3 jobs. Now inflation is continuing to happen, cost of living is going up, and it's no longer paycheck to paycheck, it's paycheck behind paycheck. So, so I'm just trying to staff the center with people and still also work with their part-time jobs and do the best that we can. But unfortunately, I have to have people in the seat.
exactly. Well, I feel for you, I know it's a struggle, and appreciate everything you do.
Yep, is that it?
That's it for me.
All right.
Okay. Ginger, good morning.
Good morning. Hopefully all saw in the Central Living World that the library has plans to build a pavilion. It's going to be 42 by 64 in the northwest corner of the Payton parking lot. I just wanted to make sure that you all were aware and see if you had any suggestions or comments or anything that we need to know, we might not know. We are taking bids. They need to be in by 4:30 on Friday, sealed bids. And our monthly board meeting, our board members will choose them, who's to vote for us. One thing we're trying to make really clear to the public, because we know that because we're a county library, people don't always understand that our budget is completely different from the county. And we don't want it to come back on you all that why is the library spending this money when the county's.
And we thank you for that.
So the money to actually build the structure has been completely donated. We do have money in a library reserve fund that we can use to build a stage possibly later on, but donations are still coming in, so we may not even have to do that. And also we want to make sure that you all know that there's still the other half of the parking lot where the county courthouse people usually park, that will still be open, that won't change at all. And they're still welcome to park there, and hopefully we'll still have the agreement that you all will have our snow removed in the wintertime in return for that. So,
As long as we continue to use that, we will continue to take care of it.
we appreciate that.
And gentlemen, just so you know, Ginger and I had spoke at the Apple Butter Festival, and one of the reasons she's here today is because of this conversation. I felt what was going on down there was important enough to bring it to the meeting to let the public know that they are continuing to grow down there. And most importantly, the money that they're spending is not coming out of the county coffers because that's a big concern going on right now. So, Ginger, we thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for the information. Appreciate it. Okay, Marcy.
Good morning, Commissioners. How are you this morning? Monday morning, right?
Monday morning, that's
So I'm
right.
gonna make it through quick for you. So a couple weeks ago, I came before all of you to discuss Owen County's comprehensive plan as well as the ARPA funds and the READY initiative and how we could strategically align these three programs so that Owen County can use some of the funds that we have coming in to capitalize on those funds to provide more funds for Owen County and for economic improvements. So specifically, we want to look and see how we can use some of those ARPA funds to bring in some money from the READY initiative, which could possibly be $50 billion into our region. There are several key areas of focus that we are focusing on for the READY initiative: housing, broadband, and again, due to time, I won't go into all of those. We're still working on those, and I've been talking with Jim about that. But this morning, what I want to bring to your attention is the focus of broadband. Owen County has been working really hard since COVID to bring broadband into Owen County. In the very beginning of 2020, we worked with SCIREMC to do a letter campaign for the citizens of Owen County for their voices to be heard. There were a bunch of letters. They were able to get that into the state. We actually applied for an $800,000 grant, and instead Owen County was awarded $3.5 million for broadband through that whole entire initiative. So that was the first thing we did. The second thing that we did, thanks to all of you, is that the county commissioners and the town of Spencer were able to receive broadband ready community designation from the Lieutenant Governor's office. And we received that in December of 2020. But we didn't stop there. In July of this year, we were able to present before the Lieutenant Governor that through an unprecedented relationship between Smithville, SCIREMC, and Endeavor, that they are creating build-outs to build out their broadband services throughout all of Owen County, so that by the end of 2023, every single citizen in Owen County will have high-speed affordable internet provided to them, which is going to end up being about a $30 million investment from these three local providers. And then finally, coming up this Wednesday, the Lieutenant Governor is going to be coming to Owen County for our Economic Development Roundtable to discuss just that, because she sees that Owen County is taking these great initiatives to bring broadband and internet to our citizens. But that leaves one little piece of the puzzle, and that's why I'm here this morning. So the town of Spencer and the surrounding area that we're now calling like a little donut around Spencer, it's just a few miles beyond the town limits. Those areas are serviced by some local broadband. Smithville is in that area, but availability and affordability are two different things, which we just heard from the EMS dispatch, okay? Owen County citizens need affordable internet, and that is why the EDC has continued to see what we can do to bring affordable internet into this particular area. So recently, we have been doing a survey. We have been surveying the different businesses here in Spencer to see if they would be interested in switching to a local provider if they had the option. And I know this is really small print, and I wear bifocals, so I took, if you can see, I took the liberty of putting the big numbers on the top there for you. So there have been 153 total businesses that have been contacted thus far. Of those businesses, 57 of those have said, yes, absolutely, we would switch if we had the opportunity. 4 of them said no, and a couple of those no's were just because they already have, well, for example, Ginger Core through the library, that's just its own kind of government kind of internet that she receives, so she's one of those no's. And then there's still 92 individual businesses out there that are considering going ahead and switching. They just needed to talk to the right people, obviously. We're going to continue to do this survey. Not only are we asking them, but we are not only doing that, but for these local providers, we are mapping those out on a map in this area. This is the area that we're talking about. This is Spencer and that surrounding donut that needs affordable internet. This area is serviced by Duke Energy, who we have Rick Berger from Duke Energy, who is here today to discuss and just answer any questions you might have about that. So as you can see, we have this one piece of the puzzle that we need to figure out. So these 3 local providers, SCI, REMC, Endeavor, and Smithville, have an idea. They would like to come before the county commissioners here this month, or perhaps early in November, to discuss an opportunity to put on the bridge on the south side of Spencer a conduit sleeve. It's a fiber sleeve. They're trying to get an estimate together. They will have that ready for when you'd like for them to come before you. We're looking at $40,000. Now, of the $4 million that we're going to be receiving of ARPA funds, I believe that's 1.25% of that. If those funds were able to go for that, the county commissioners and the county council, the county council and the county would own that sleeve. You would maintain ownership of that. And then anytime a broadband provider would like to come into this area that we still need to make available for affordable internet, they would give you a one-time payment to use that sleeve to come in. And Rick, do you have anything that you can add here because of the accessibility to this area with Duke and Pulse and how you communicated?
Yeah, the way we do it at Duke is they pay for pole contact, so we're willing to work with them and make it happen. I mean, I think where you're at here, you're way ahead of some other communities. I applaud you for that. Opportunity to get broadband in here, and we're here to help you be a partner too. I'm on Marcy's EDC group and chamber. You guys got great things going on here, so I'm proud to be part of it.
Well, we thank you for being here this morning, and I've seen you in several of our other meetings, so appreciate that as well.
So ultimately, what I just wanted to do is I just wanted to bring before you the plan. Owen County has been working a great plan. We're down to the last little section. We now have an option on how to fix that or, to continue to provide a solution for that. I want you to know that they're going to be coming to you. However, in order for them to even ask for an appropriation, we would need for the county commissioners to put an ARPA plan together and to go ahead and have that in place.
One thing I'm going to say, and I'm all for bringing this in, but I don't want to forget, because we're concentrating on the town of Spencer here, we need to concentrate on the whole county. And that's a concern of mine because we have folks out there that are e-learning from home because they're either quarantined, the school shut down, whatever that situation may be. Those are the people that we need to reach as well. So I want to make sure that we're concentrating our focus there, not just in Spencer.
Absolutely. And so when I was saying about the $30 million that they're investing in Endeavor, Smithville, and REMC, that $30 million that they're investing in Owen County is already going to the build-outs that cover all of rural Owen County. None of that is coming into this particular project. That's going to cover every single person that's out there in rural Owen County.
Thank you, Marcy. Jim, you have any comments on any of this?
Just that if you would like to have the plan, if you would like me to, I can contact the Ordinance and try and have that ready for the 18th. Now this, when I say plan, I'll be real clear, this would be the most generic parameters or outline. So this plan would not, if you don't want to use Duke Company, just for an example, this plan will not say X amount of dollars to do. It's nothing like that at all. This would just say, here are the parameters that the federal government has outlined for sewer, broadband. There might be some approximate amounts that can be amended at any time. So it would be the generic that would allow the commissioners to start hearing proposals, if you would so desire to do that, and it will lay out that. So for example, just another example, if it's $100,000 would be the sewer limitation, it would also tell someone, do not come in there and ask for $2 million for that particular point. So this would be very, very generic, just kind of, I would say, outline for the commissioners to consider, but that can be done for the 18th.
Thank you, Jim. So fellow commissioners, what Jim's saying here is we have to initiate a plan, and those plans will be brought to us for our approval down the road. But we can't do anything until that plan is initiated. As Jim said, it can be very generic, something to get started. That is our decision. Then we're presented with different plans from different organizations, whatever they may be, for our approval down the road. At that point, if we do accept any of those proposals that are brought to us, it moves on to the council for the final appropriation. So I think it's important that we go ahead and initiate a plan. However minute it may be at this time, at least it's been put together and we can move forward. So I'm going to make a motion that we approve the attorney to contact Barnes and Thornburg. We have talked about this in many different meetings to initiate our plan for our American Rescue Fund money.
I second that motion.
I have a motion by myself, a second by Bob. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Marcy.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. Commissioner Burton, one item before I leave is, this is the grant program agreement for Okra for the $60,000. It just needs your signature so I can turn it in. I brought 2 copies, one for you and then one for EDC.
This has already been presented to us, gentlemen.
Yes, it was sent to Sheila, and then this is, where is it? I'm sorry, I should have had it marked where you signed.
It's like you're right. I'll put 9.
There's the second copy. Sheila, there's your copy.
There you go, Marcy.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Sheriff Department.
The one thing I got is a couple of days ago, I keep track of the dormant funds. And I know Sheila's been working on it. Let me get my glasses on, Gary, sorry.
No problem, Sam.
You know me, Gary, touch base on some of the funds I know has been taken care of. There's a couple out there, and I talked to state board of accounts, and I talked to Sheila and Gary about this, but the one fund, just about here, that's out there, it's still dormant, it's fund 6007, it's CAD PTRC fund. It has $27,674 in it. And, you know, I'm not trying to be greedy or selfish or anything, but I'm gonna be greedy and selfish because we gave quite a bit of money away this year to help with the budget crisis and all that stuff. But this money right here will help me pay for, we now have body cameras that all the guys wear. It costs us $10,000 a year for the storage. To pay for that. Plus, we also have vests. The guys wear, you know, safety vests. We put the body armor and stuff in them. The county is responsible for paying for that. The county has no money to pay for that. I have 8 guys, I have 15 guys. The vest is going to have to be replaced. This would help pay for the vest. It would pay for my body camera storage. And the thing we put in last week, and we're working on this week, we put in what is called an e-ticket system. It's a program that puts in everybody's vehicles to write out ordinances, speeding tickets, violations, stuff like that. They punch it in the computer, prints it all out themselves, instead of writing out the handwritten ordinance and all that stuff. They punch it in, it prints it out on the machine, and we give the citation or whatever we need to the public, okay? That would help pay for that as well. We've already got it installed. Since this money is dormant, and the state says, well, lay claim to it, you know, it's been dormant for all these years. If you can use it, if you can get it, get it. So I'm coming here to claim dormant fund 6007, Cadget PTRC fund that has $27,674. I like to lay claim to that. That's just my own personal opinion, but it's there. I don't like claim to it. Somebody else would. I need money. Bad.
Well, Sam, thank you for that. I'm gonna ask Jim to define those initials of that fund and what they were used for previously.
So can I say, I had for the sheriff, I had it down that the sheriff was more the 7311 fund distribution of $13,659.59.
Yeah, we were.
And then the cops fast equipment grant 188531, and then the 9116 car camera 39521. So Sheriff, you have those three funds, is that correct?
That is correct,
And
sir.
you're wanting then to make a claim now for the 6007, totally different than those other three.
That is correct, sir.
Okay.
The reason I'm asked is because we've had to cut our budget so much this year. That we've had to move jail housing money to cover our medical. We don't have any money to go ahead and make purchases that we normally make. We just don't have the money, and this money is dormant. And so instead of me coming to the council and saying, hey, you guys won't have to fork up some money for body cam or vests and stuff like this would cover that. It'd help keep it coming to the general fund or whatever, asking for an appropriation. If that makes sense.
So the totals of those three previous funds would be $15,940.11. So there's three dormant funds. Those have been identified to the sheriff. He would like to keep them, obviously.
Sure.
And that total amount would be $15,940.11 for those three. Now, is there a history on this 6007? I didn't know. I apologize. I don't recall.
I didn't bring my notes with me. I do know that Lori had responded back, and there were a few of them that we needed to check with the auditor of the state. I have not heard back from them. We can check with the current State Board of Accounts people that are here, but I would definitely want whatever in writing, because there's a few of the bigger funds.
Sure.
So.
I don't know if there's a process yet to go through, but I just came today to lay claim to it.
So, Commissioner, I think the plan, at least for myself and Otter, this was on our agenda for the following meeting, because everyone's doing some follow-up on these, so I can say to you, I mean, with pretty high probability, that the other three have been identified, State Board of Accounts of the sheriffs, 15,940. I don't think there's any issue there, but I would say not that the sheriff isn't entitled to the 6007. All I'm saying is there has not been enough work as far as clarifying the State Board of Accounts, DLGF, and getting historical background of the fund for the 27,674.
Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, after we made the initial 230,000, whatever,
Yes.
moved that to general fund, there was about $57,000 in dormant funds left, is that correct?
It might have been just slightly higher than that, but I think the 57 is accurate in what's unknown.
Unknown, okay. And this would be in part of that
This is
unknown
part
figure?
Of the 50,000, this clearly is the biggest one.
Okay. And that's why Sam picked it, because it's the biggest one, okay.
Well, I just figured the three calls that we got coming, we're gonna have to get paid sometime or other. This money been in the fund, it's been there for 6 years. This year they claim to it.
I'm assuming that the other three funds that the State Board of Accounts has approved, he can use that money how he sees fit.
That is correct.
Is that,
He can either transfer them into a fund that he chooses, or he can pay direct claims out of it.
Okay.
Once they get closed out, they're closed out for good. So
Right.
she said it didn't make no difference to her whether we transfer it to another fund or just left it in those funds. And, you know,
Your claims would be attached to those fund lines.
Absolutely,
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. So at this time, I'm assuming that we should probably table this until the next meeting.
But I think that the plan is, definitely on the schedule was to come to the commissioners with kind of a final, presentation. It looked like, just in general, if they're not given to other ones, there's probably the range of about 45,000, that would be dormant, that could theoretically go into the general, but that's what I'm claiming. Our general, again, is still about $350,000 in the red, so I think those are the two competing interests.
So instead of table, we just make, that this was already for discussion on our 18th meeting and we move it to there.
that's what I'm.
Okay. Is that good?
That's all we got. Keep you guys in prayers. Keep the community in prayers. We've had one incident after another here in Owen County. You know, we had a girl that was killed. We had another shooting. We've got kids with issues going on and stuff. And I'm like, sorry. We've had to work the guys, some of the guys, two of the guys work 52 hours straight. That's not good for anybody, but, you know, we need to say a prayer for our community and let God, we need to bring God back into the picture because I'm telling you, we're going south in a lot of directions and there's not enough manpower, there's not enough money in the county, and you mentioned it, Gary mentioned it, Kathleen mentioned it. Some of the pay is not too bad, but there's a lot of people in the community that are scared of the financial situation that this county is in. I've got employees that are thinking about going to other counties to work, and I'm trying to hang on to them and say, hey, just hang on, you know, it's going to get better, but you can only tell them that for so long. But I'm telling you, folks, we need to pray. I know a lot of people don't like to hear about talking about God and prayer, but I tell you, the prayer works. I've been living through it, I've seen it, so we need to pray for our community, our county, and our leaders and everybody.
I agree with you 100%, Sam. We are going to struggle to hang on to our county employees, and I hate to have to say that, but that's where we're at. It's unfortunate, but I understand also these people have families to feed and kids to raise and so on and so forth, and that's very important to their family. So
It's hard to lose somebody. You think, well, you get somebody else. It's like the jail, the turnover of the jail is so, I mean, they just come and go. They pay a decent amount of money, but they don't realize what the job entails. You know, public safety, people don't realize what the public safety people go through on a daily basis.
and I'm sure all of you as department heads, I know Chris is, I know Greg is, covering every open shift, working way too many hours. Exhaustion is a problem. Then it becomes into job failure at some point because not intentional, just from exhaustion and being overworked. Those are large concerns, and I want the public to know that these people are putting in over and above what they should be doing with what they've got to work with. So I don't see a fix anytime soon for that, but unfortunately that's where we're at. Chris was in here earlier. He had nothing other than he's working on a grant that we're aware of for some power assist through the IPEP program. Any other elected officials or department heads out there? I don't see any. Sheila, oh, I'm sorry, Christine, you're hiding.
That's okay. I just wanted to give you a heads up. Last year, the state sent out a grant for IT upgrades. Well, that never went through. Then we were notified that IDOH had taken that whole grant, and they're gonna provide all 92 county health departments with, and upgraded ways so that we can protect patient information, so that we can take, it'll be a electronic pay system, so people can pay with debit card, credit card, or buy their death certificates online. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that, but it is no cost to the county. IDOH will, bring, I guess, the, payment indefinitely.
So is this a grant you're applying for, or is this just a grant that the state's providing to all 92
I
counties?
have nothing other than have to gather the information and set up the times. That's all I'm doing,
Excellent.
to conduct the meetings, to get with the auditor's office to get it done.
Okay. Sam's got a question.
I do want to thank Christine, we had to reach out to her, a few years ago, the state would pay for our Narcan. We've had a lot of overdoses in the county, the state come up with a great program, and Sheila was there, they paid for it. The state got a big idea, oh, it's gonna cost us too much money, so let's just punt it down to the county again. Narcan is extremely expensive, $70-some a dose. We had over 50 doses. Everybody has to have 2 on their team and 1 for themselves, in case the guys get in trouble, they can Narcan themselves. But Christine reached out and told me that she get the funding to pay for this, and I'm glad because we don't have it.
Outstanding. Thank you for that. I will tell you also that I've noticed that your COVID clinic line has started to build back up. The other day I looked down there and it looked like there was 7 or 8 cars there in line, and I know that you're busy and working hard down there. So thank you for continuing that. You're like everybody else. You're tired and wore out as well. So, Jim.
Just for the health department, I misspeak, so I just wanted to make sure that during the council meeting, there was a discussion of the clinic. The clinic being discussed financially was the ProMed that had nothing to do with the COVID, but it'd been 3 hours, and I said the word COVID clinic. That was totally incorrect, so I just wanted to make sure there was never any intention, there was never any discussion about that, but there was some discussion about a privately run clinic about financials. So I just wanted to make sure that was 100% me using the wrong word again.
Well, Jim.
Sheila.
So is it okay, if, again, she's trying to get a meeting together, so is it okay to proceed and let them do what they need to in working with our office and the treasurers to make sure that this electronic pay system is up and going?
Yes.
Okay.
And since that's something that the state's doing, I don't think we need to take any personal action on that. What else, Madam Auditor?
We have Angie's.
Yeah, you got the corners on.
Yes. Jim, and I'll refer back to you on this. This is for our coroner.
It is, Commissioners, so I received the 2 attachments this weekend. On August 13th of 2021, the Terre Haute Regional Hospital, which provides the facilities and assistance for autopsies from Owen County, that agreement had terminated, so this was not an adversarial termination, it was just the time limit had run out. And they've supplied a new contract. I looked over the contract, there's nothing concerning as far as any of the terms. I would point out it runs for 3 years. It would run until August 31st of 2024. Now, the only thing I would be limited in, it has the fee schedule. I apologize, I did not see the contract from 3 years ago, so I don't know if these are rate increases, but there's a general rate of $400. Level 1 autopsy fee. If it's a level 2, it's a $550 fee, and then the toxicology fee I am somewhat familiar with, $175 would be considered reasonable and customary. So I do not know if this is a rate increase, and I know the coroner's not there, but as far as the contract itself, it's all very reasonable terms, 3 years in length, and then those are the associated fees for autopsy.
Thank you, Jim. And I'll agree, I did not see the last contract either, so I have no idea. I'm going to assume that there's probably some increase in there just due to the fact of inflation and where we're at in today's world. Does it require all three signatures or one signature?
One, it actually has a place with the Owen County
Corner.
on page 3.
Okay, so it does not require a commissioner's signature.
I would request it be approved though by the commissioners if you do, and then approving her to sign it.
So at this time, I'll ask for a motion for approval of the contract with Terre Haute Regional Hospital for the coroner's office in concern of autopsies, and that we let the coroner sign this contract if approved. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Dale. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Bob. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Sheila, I'll give you that back so Angie can sign that. Anything else, Madam Auditor?
Oh, I'll give you your copies. These are the budgets that were approved and finalized at the council meeting. This is what has been entered into the state. You have the top cover sheet, and then the attached pages are all of the budgets for each department.
Thank you very much.
And Sheila, if you would, since you have that, I've already put mine over here in my stack, would you read the total of the county budget that has been presented? Just for any public to hear, or the department heads, so they can hear the finalized. Obviously, it's not been approved by state yet, but this is what the county is submitting.
The total is $16,763,938. Also noted that the county general fund went from $6.5 million last year down to $3.9 million, $7,581. So there is a significant decrease in that. And again, a lot of that was moving the sheriff's fund to the new fund. So again, this is what has been submitted, and we won't know approvals and probably until later. I would say probably even December, but.
So we'll keep our fingers crossed and hope everything works out our way. But yeah, that decrease in the general fund was due to the sheriff's department being pulled from there and supporting itself with its own tax base. Jim, anything from the attorney?
Just a repeat, there's 3 more claim cycles until we get to November 30th. We have 1 more in October, we have 2 more in November. All of the departments, cooperation would be at a level of 5 star. There is nothing being turned in. There's no one trying to move a budget in any way. And I think that's what you're seeing as far as the claims. So you're getting what I would consider 100% cooperation from every one of your county employees. These are the same county employees, and many of them are what it sounds like are working 12 to 14, if not 24-hour a day shifts. And so those are all in line. It is still within the possibility of keeping the claims within the parameters of the lit and the riverboat. There is still a considerable amount of work that needs to be done, commissioners, as far as getting the general fund from that 350 down to 0. I don't, most of this, or 90% is fiscal body, but as you see the claims, I just want to kind of keep you informed on that. I think the next step would be after the October claims, would then to be a review and see if any of the August numbers or even possibly July expenditures out of the general fund could be then paid out of lit or riverboat to try and get that down to as close as possible. But I would say we've got 1 more claim cycle in 2 weeks that will give, I think, a very clear picture of how November or early December looks. But all of your appointees, all of your department heads, all of your elected officials have truly come together and are working, for a common goal.
And I truly believe that, and we thank everybody for that. One quick question for you, Jim. We still have 13 fund lines in the red. And I know that some avenues have been worked on to clear some of those up. Some of them are just merely making a adjustment in the county books, if I'm not mistaken there.
There are 3 that clearly fall into that category. There's one for 4 cents, there's one with Kathleen for $17,700, and then there is the extension. I think all 3 of those, there is what I would call a clear pathway of resolving those. You have one, the general fund, which is we well, that's the work in progress. We're moving $100,000 a month in the right direction. The other issue that's come up, it's the grants. I believe off the top of my head, I think there's 8 grant funds at this particular time that are in the red. That's an increase. So and I do understand some of this is just pure reimbursement. And one of them, I think, was explained, we have to expend the money and then we get a reimbursement. However, I think that what's very important is high concentration on the grants, making sure that commissioners, you have or have had a copy of every grant. That grant goes to the fiscal body, and there's an appropriation in each one of those grants, and as much attention to detail as possible on those grants to treat those as cash balance. If they've been consistent, and you say, well, this is how it is, but they're growing. So every time we're getting rid of what we call some of our older funds, and we reduce one more grant fund appears. That's why the number 13 is staying consistent. It's not the same funds.
And that was some of the concern bringing that up before, is these grants weren't presented to the commissioners, they were just being done. The council, they weren't being presented necessarily to the council for appropriations. The departments were just submitting in for the grant, they were coming in.
This is a mandatory process. They must come to you as commissioners, yea or nay. Then they must go to the council for the fiscal and budget needs to be presented. Now, it can be a generic budget. There's just four main categories, basically wages, supplies, contracts, and capital outlays. I would think that most of your grants, very unusual that there would be any capital outlays. So we're probably talking about maybe supplies, maybe wages, so those could even be kept in about 2 categories. So we're not talking about hours and hours of work, but you want to have that appropriation, and you want to make sure, so we don't have these other situations. If you got $25,000 hypothetically of grant money coming in, don't spend $27,000. You have 25. That's how much it is. But that's an area of concern that cumulatively, I think everyone needs to take a harder look at.
I agree. Dale, have anything?
No,
Mr. Curry?
Nope.
I'd like to make a motion though.
You go right ahead,
Motion to adjourn.
and I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. Thanks for being here, folks. How are you?
Mark for me now.
How are you, sir?
Dropping off an LOI.
Okay.
I think that's due tomorrow.
Okay. I'll make sure that we get this taken care of.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. How's things going for you in your new position?
Good.
Good.
How's things for you guys?
Every day's a challenge. You never know what's gonna come around, but, we put out a fire here this morning.